Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP's wife gets repeated surgeries to make herself look like a toddler. Am I the butthole for divorcing my wife over her surgeries and decisions? I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I've been married to my 27-year-old wife for 4 years. It started when she became obsessed with Asians since I'm Asian. She began discussing wanting surgery, and I told her she's perfect the way she is. She eventually got certain surgeries for her eyelids and face area mostly. It's gotten worse. She got more surgeries to make herself look like a young child. She'll go to stores and legit buy toddler-like clothing to make herself seem adorable. She's gotten into Discord and makes baby sounds, and it's been concerning. I had a serious talk with her because she keeps trying to act like a kid, making spills and not knowing how to clean up when she's a grown adult. She told me I was being controlling and manipulative about what she liked. After a while, I was done and I divorced her on the spot because last time I checked, I don't like kids or people trying to act like a kid. Her parents attacked me for not supporting her and her friends too. This sounds a lot like a fetish, some kind of, baby, young child, fetish-sizing roleplay thing, and she just decided, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, and I hope my husband's going along with it instead of talking about it like adults. So I don't blame you for jumping ship, OP. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole because I can't stop obsessing over a prank that ruined my wedding experience and left me furious, even though my wife says I need to get over it? I had an amazing wedding experience that was completely ruined by a prank that my wife and friends played during the garter removal. During the reception, we were doing all the usual wedding games. Eventually, I was told that it was time to do the garter removal. As everyone was gathered around us in the middle of the dance floor, my wife was sitting in a chair and my friends brought out a blindfold and told me that I would be doing the garter removal blindfolded. I should have been suspicious at their grins, but I had some drinks, wasn't expecting anything, put it on, and tried to be a good sport about it, as everyone seemed like they were having a great time, myself included. As soon as I was blindfolded, however, my wife slipped out of the chair and was replaced by one of the groomsmen. He's a friend of the family that I've grown up with, but I wouldn't say that we're close. Now, I literally cannot stand him. Although he's not a bad guy other than my anger at this prank. Sitting in the chair in place of my wife, my groomsman was in shorts with the garter around his thigh. My wife stood behind him and was talking to me as they walked me over to keep me fooled into thinking that it was her. On their instructions, I got down on my knees and began reaching for what I thought were my wife's legs. Once I found the leg, I found the garter and began pulling it down. But at that moment, I heard my wife saying, "With your mouth! With your mouth!" So I leaned forward and grasped the garter belt in my mouth, to the shrieks and applause of the crowd. With the garter in my teeth, I pulled it down his leg, and then my wife actually came around to help me get it over his shoe because it got stuck. Once I had the garter, they told me to stand up and take off my blindfold. When I did, I was smiling because I thought I'd been a good sport and everyone was laughing so hard it seemed like everyone was having a great time. But when I took off the blindfold, everyone burst into even louder laughter. For a moment, the entire energy of everyone at the wedding was focused on nothing besides laughing at me being the sole butt of this joke. It felt awful. I was furious. I wanted to say and do a million different things, but I didn't. For some reason, I just felt that pretending it wasn't a big deal was the best defense, that showing anger would be confirming how badly I'd just been humiliated for their delight, and that would have made my humiliation all the worse. So I sucked it up, slept-walked through the rest of the wedding while doing my best to keep a smile on my face. My wife could tell that I was stunned, but she kept going on too. She definitely had no idea how badly I was taking it. Everyone was standing around us, and we couldn't talk openly about how I felt, at least not without ruining everything, and I didn't know whether I wanted to go there after all the effort and money put into the wedding. And I kept sucking it up the next day at the brunch and for most of the next week through most of our honeymoon. At some point, I told myself that my wife didn't mean to hurt me, and there was no reason to ruin her wedding memories by telling her that my experience had been ruined. But then, at the end of our honeymoon, I had a few drinks, and I just couldn't help it. And once I started talking to her about it, I just went off. I told her it was trashy, that it hurt, if not destroyed my trust and sense of intimacy towards her. I was harsh and got carried away. After at first apologizing a bit, she got upset and left me sitting out there. I think I just kept going because I felt hurt and wanted to maybe make her feel bad as well, to be honest. Since then, it's been a difficult subject. I've told her I don't want to hear about the wedding. I don't want to write thank you notes, look at pictures. If it was tomorrow, I wouldn't make plans to celebrate our anniversary. My wife and I have a lot of strengths in our relationship, but I just can't stop thinking about this and the feeling when I took off that blindfold. I literally cannot stop my mind from replaying it over and over, and I get mad again every time. And perhaps the worst part of it is that it's all recorded. We had a professional photographer shooting a video, and in the video I see at least 4 other people recording it on their phones. Watching the video, I find myself looking at the laughing faces of family and friends in the video, and there's a part of me that I'd never act on that wants nothing more than to punch them all in their faces. The fact that I know that these videos are out there makes it feel like it's constantly happening to me. My wife says that she's sorry, that she thought that I would take it better and laugh it off, and that I need to move on. I think maybe I am the butthole. No good is coming from obsessing over this, but I literally cannot let it go. I find myself coming up with reasons to be angry. I feel sometimes it was assault because I was tricked into putting my mouth on another man's leg without my consent. But I think that's just rationalizing my anger. I don't know. We see a lot of prank posts in Reddit, and it's the same rule in every story. It's only funny if everyone laughs. If one person is the butt of the joke, then it's not funny, it's just mean. Down in the comments, we have people sharing similar prank stories, and some of these are kinda nuts. Frumpy Phoenix says, when I was in high school, we had a day at the beginning of the year where there were different competitions between each of the grades. This was like 3 days into the school year. One of the games was, I believe, like a blindfolded banana eating contest. Like maybe the banana was hanging by a string? Anyways, apparently it was just to blindfold one freshman and cheer her on while she made a fool of herself in front of the entire school. 3 days into a new school. Everyone was cheering her on, and she took off the blindfold all hype because the crowd was telling her how good she did once she won, only to realize she was the butt of the joke. She literally transferred about a week later. I had no idea who approved that game. Then, somehow, an even worse story from Bajax the Great. I had a similar thing in high school. I was picked to represent the freshmen for an event during some start of the school year rally, and I didn't know what it was. I got in front of the entire school, and I was told to get on my knees and eat chocolate pudding with peas in it out of a diaper on the floor without using my hands. Literally, I was supposed to shove my face in a diaper that was meant to look poopy on the very first day of high school. I froze, completely unwilling to do this, and a popular senior came over to me. I was petrified he was going to force me or something, but he said, "You don't have to do this," and led me back to my seat. I will never forget that kindness. Shout out to Sam for being a real one. Am I the butthole for skipping my brother's wedding because I wasn't invited to the engagement party? I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I have a twin brother. Growing up, we were inseparable, and until recently, I thought that we were still very close. I was always more of a shy nerd, and he was an extrovert who played sports throughout our childhood and high school, but we spent almost all of our time together by choice. We went our separate ways when college came. He stayed local in Arizona, and I went to college in Portland. When I graduated, I stayed there because I fell in love with the city, my friends are here, my professional networks from my internships were here, etc. But I always flew back home for the holidays, events, birthdays, etc. My brother announced on Instagram that he and his girlfriend of 3 years got engaged. I was incredibly happy for him and texted him congrats. He mentioned they were having an engagement party in 6 to 8 weeks, and I told him to let me know so I could book a flight to come celebrate. I was never told a date. If I brought it up with him or anyone in my family, they would change the subject or say it's still being planned and confirmed. After a few weeks, I texted my brother to ask about the date because it must be getting close, and I don't want to pay for a last-minute flight. No response. I asked my mom for details, and she said, "It's not really an engagement party, just a small dinner with family. There's no need to come down for it." I eventually found out that it was, in fact, a big party. They rented out an entire restaurant for 4 hours, and there were about 80 guests. Family, friends, cousins, everyone. Everyone was told that I couldn't make it. My aunt, who was like a second mother to me, texted me that she was very disappointed I couldn't make time to join, and I replied that I would have happily come, but I wasn't invited. Word spread quickly about my snub, and my parents and brother tried to say that it was just a misunderstanding. That was almost over a year ago. Since then, I've tried to get to the bottom of why I wasn't invited. Over the course of months, it went from, "It was just meant to be a small gathering," to, "I don't know what happened, there must have been a miscommunication," or, "It's just a party, it's no big deal." I asked my brother if he was mad at me. I thought maybe his fiancée didn't like me. Even if she or he didn't want me there, why were my parents okay with this? This really wasn't like them. Christmas and Easter was awkward as hell because no one but me wanted to address the elephant in the room, and any conversation about anything was like small talk with strangers. When I visited in May for my sister's birthday, I left early after my sister said, "You moved so far away. It's like you're not really family anymore. You make everything feel so weird now." 9 months ago, I got the save the date announcement, and 6 months ago, I got the invitation to the wedding. I was not asked to be in the wedding party, which is fine and wasn't surprising at this point. My sister and younger brother were asked to be in the wedding party, so another snub. I also didn't get a +1 for my girlfriend that I've been seeing for almost a year and a half. My sister, however, got a +1 for her friends with benefits. So I decided I wasn't welcome, and I was probably only invited for optics and to play happy family. I didn't RSVP that I would not come since I knew that would cause a shit show. I just didn't go. The wedding was this past weekend. No one contacted me about missing the rehearsal dinner, so I guess even if I did go, I wasn't invited to that either or expected to be there. I started getting calls and texts about an hour before the ceremony asking where I was, if my flight was delayed, how far along I'd be, etc., and I ignored them. They stopped for a while during the ceremony, but started up again right after. I finally picked up my mom's call and she screamed, "Where the hell are you?" I replied, "In Portland, where you all prefer me to be." She said, "This is your brother's wedding. How could you embarrass us?" I answered, "It's just a party. It's no big deal, right?" It was probably the first time in my life my mother was speechless. After a few seconds of silence, I said, "Tell everyone I said hi," and I hung up. Now I'm getting calls and texts from everyone saying I was being petty and ruined the day. So, am I the butthole here? I feel like I'm just matching their energy and dropping the rope. This is bizarre. Don't most people move out of their hometown after they, come of age? That number has to be more than 50%, right? According to Google AI, because we all know we love AI and trust it completely, approximately 29% of Americans live in their hometown. So about 1 in 4 people. And they're trashing on OP because he's not living in his hometown? These people are stupid. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your dumb family 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.